What would you do if the very first humans who walked this earth were not alone? Imagine the beginning of time not filled with peace, not with gentle creation, but with a terror so great it nearly ended mankind before it even began. They say the first man was called Oba. His skin carried the sun, his shoulders carried the weight of survival. His hands were scarred from stone and fire. Beside him was the first beauty, Ebele, her hair wild like fire, her eyes deep as rivers. She was gentle in her touch, but fierce when fear crept near. Oba and Ebele lived like shadows in a world where shadows could kill. Every step outside their cave was a prayer. Every sound in the tall grass was a warning. They hunted, they gathered, they bled, they endured. But what they did not know was that something else endured with them. Ebele was the first to notice it. Across the soil near their cave, she saw marks, long, deep trails, dragging through the mud. Not footsteps, not claws, something wider, something heavier. She touched the ground and whispered, "Something hunts here." Oba crouched beside her, studying the marks. His jaw tightened. It was no ordinary serpent. This trail was too wide, too deep. It was as if the earth itself had been carved open. And then they heard it, a low, guttural hiss that rolled across the savannah like thunder. That night, as they sat by their fire, Ebele told him a story. Her voice was barely a whisper. They say, before us, the gods made the serpent, red as blood, hungrier than death, the python that swallowed the stars. Oba wanted to laugh, but he could not, for in the distance, the ground trembled, the trees bent, and in the moonlight, something vast slithered. Its scales glowed like embers. Its body was bigger than 10 men, and its eyes were gold. The red python was awake. At dawn, Oba hunted a gazelle. His stone axe gripped tight. He stalked the beast silently. But before he could strike, the gazelle screamed and vanished, dragged into the underbrush. He froze. Then came the sound. Bones cracking, flesh tearing, a silence too heavy to breathe in. Suddenly, the earth split open. The red python surged from the trees, its tongue flicking, its body coiling. Oba stumbled back. Ebele screamed. The monster's jaws opened, wider than their cave, lined with teeth like knives. The serpent wrapped itself around a fallen tree and crushed it into splinters, as if to remind them how easily it could do the same to flesh. Oba grabbed Ebele's hand and ran. Through the jungle they fled, their feet tearing across roots and stone. Behind them, the python crashed through the trees, its body snapping trunks like twigs. Oba hurled stones at it, but they bounced harmlessly off its burning red scales. Ebele cried out, "It will not stop! Oba, it knows us!" They found refuge in a cave, pressed against the cold stone walls. Outside, the serpent slithered past, its hiss filling the darkness, vibrating through their bones. Oba pressed his hand to Ebele's mouth, silencing her sobs. The beast lingered, waiting, listening. Then, it moved on. But Oba understood something in that silence. The python wasn't hunting for food, it was hunting them. For days, it stalked them. Wherever they went, the trees bent, the ground trembled. Sometimes at night, they would wake to the sound of its scales scraping against stone. They could not eat. They could not sleep. They were prey. Finally, Oba remembered the swamp, not far from their cave, a place where the earth itself swallowed anything heavy enough to fight it. He had only one chance. He gathered rocks and branches, setting them aflame. He looked into Ebele's terrified eyes and whispered, "If I do not return, you must run. Run until your legs break." But she only shook her head. "I will not leave you, Oba." Together, they made their stand. Oba roared, striking stones together, shouting, taunting the serpent. From the shadows it came, faster than a storm, its body crashing down with the weight of death. Oba ran, leading it toward the swamp. The python lunged, its jaws snapping inches from his flesh. He dove across the muddy edge. The beast followed, and suddenly, its colossal body began to sink. The swamp pulled it down, dragging its coils into the earth. The serpent thrashed, hissing so loud the sky seemed to tremble. But Oba was not finished. With Ebele at his side, they hurled flaming branches into its face. Fire licked across its scales, smoke rising into the night. The red python writhed, screaming in a voice no animal should possess, before vanishing back into the darkness. Oba and Ebele collapsed, their bodies torn, their lungs burning. They clung to each other, trembling. Ebele's whisper broke the silence. "It will come again." Oba stared into the night, his voice hollow. "Then mankind will always be hunted." And that is how it began, not the story of man's triumph, not the rise of kingdoms, not the glory of survival, but the curse of the first serpent. For in the beginning, before we fought each other, before we built fire, before we dreamed of gods, mankind's first enemy was the python, and perhaps it still waits.
Roaring, gasping for air. Preaching hiss.
It will come again.
Then mankind will always be hunted.